Hi, and welcome back. It's Sue with Everyday Artisan again. I can't believe it's been since October when I made my last video, but here I am, not much further on the project I was showing you then. The project was a single layer slip skirt that I made using the fitted pattern that I adjusted a little bit because the fitted pattern usually is a little bit longer in the back than in the front, but I wanted it the same length all the way around the bottom. I started it in that last video to show you how to attach the waistband, and I told you that I was going to be doing armored beading around the bottom, as I was inspired by the layered look in the Alabama Chanin Studio Sewing and Design book. And as you can see, that's what I've been doing. It's a 1-inch border that I did 1 inch from the bottom of the skirt. And it has chop beads, bugle beads, sequins. I have shiny sequins that I bought from Alabama Chanin that are about 5 to 6 millimeters wide. And then I have some flat sequins that I got online. Can't remember where now, but if you really want to know, comment below and I'll look it up for you. That are more like 3 to 4 millimeters. So a little bit of variation there. I am only about a little more than a quarter of the way through, and that was October. So haven't been doing very much. I think the randomness of it doesn't inspire me, and so I just don't do it as much. And you know, most Alabama Chanin products, all you really need is what you're working on and a needle and thread and a pair of scissors. I had 4 different bead containers that I take with me everywhere I go, so it's just a little more complicated, and I haven't gotten very far. But I also wanted to show you, I think when I did the last video, I told you I was going to use a stencil to create the line at the bottom to determine where I was going to do the beading. But I ended up not doing that. I ended up just measuring it every inch or so with a ruler, making a chalk mark, and then I attached a backing, which I'm not sure if you could even tell here. I attached a row of backing fabric where my beads were going to be, because I feel like it's important to have more structure there when you're beading. And I did so using these light stitches, basting that back fabric on. Maybe if I lay flat, you can see it like that. And now I'm using these stitches as my guide where to put the beading in. I've taken most of the stitches out, but you can kind of see here that I still have some of the stitches, and it shows me where to put the beads. Once I've attached it all, I'll probably go through and, you know, I kind of just used scraps for this. So I'll go through and trim it up to about 1/4 inch to make it look good. Obviously when those, and if you're an Alabama Chanin fan, you know, these bottom edges, when they're just left raw, they roll quite a bit. So I feel like it's going to, like here you can see, again, I'm not sure if you can see, but it's almost rolled up the whole inch all the way to the bottom of the beads. But when I did try it on, I really do like the way it lays, having that weight at the bottom of the skirt. So I'm excited to have this finished, but I'm just not good at it. And so in the meantime, I felt like, gosh, you know, it's been so long. I'm not working on this project very often. Maybe I need to get a project that will inspire me. And so I found a new project. Yay! That's inspired me for 2 reasons. First, my son is graduating from college in May, and I wanted to have something to wear to his graduation. That was something I made. His college's colors are navy and orange. There's not much orange you can do in Alabama Chanin, but navy is definitely a color I have quite a bit of Alabama Chanin garments in my wardrobe, and what I wanted to make here. The other reason this inspires me is because this kit, the Rose Wrap Cardigan, is from Alabama Chanin's new zero waste scrap initiative. I think it's called the Scrap Project, which is goes with my ethos. I love the idea of it. But I thought I would go ahead and unbox it with you because you're probably interested what one of these Scrap Project kits looks like. You know, it's interesting. Oh gosh, that's my dog. Hold on a second. All right, it's probably going to be in and out and in and out because, you know, she's a dog. So I told you I was using scraps for the backing of the skirt for that second layer under the beading. But this is actually the first scrap project I ever made. I believe when I was down at the workshop, I was able to pick up a piece of this gray fabric that was long enough to make a scarf out of. And then when I brought it home, I took a bunch of scrap pieces of white fabric and used relief applique, sorry, and the Angie's Falls to create just something at the end of each side of the scarf. The relief applique is where the size of your scrap, in this case, or your shape, is actually 15% larger than the stenciled shape. And so when you go and stitch it around using your blanket stitch all around the edge, it kind of crinkles up the fabric and gives it some texture. I'm not sure how close I can get. But you can, and then for the stems, I used chain stitching. So let's go ahead and open up this kit and see what one of these scrap project kits look like. And I'm truly opening this up, well, not for the very first time, because I did throw a book in the box too. But other than that, I'm opening it up for the very first time, which I probably should have done beforehand, because now you get to hear me crinkling all the paper. The Rose Wrap top, I hope the cardigan, size large, outer layer natural, backing layer navy scrap, thread layer. So it tells me all of my different specifics, and actually on the back, this is cute. I haven't seen this before. It says cut by, painted by, and packaged by. That's nice to have that, you know, where everything's made and by whom. So here's the kit. Here's my sample stitcher. This is done, no. This, I'm not sure what this piece is yet. Okay, but it has a backing and two backings. I did end up downloading, oh gosh, the sun is setting and it's kind of bright, isn't it? Ooh. I did end up downloading the instructions off the website, and actually there's a bunch of tips on the website for the Scrap Project kits, so I might read those to you. Okay, I've got 4 things of navy thread. Oh, here's I've got my little sample stitch and my tag. And it's interesting that they kind of call it a zero waste project, because I'm wondering if these pieces are actually cut so that they could be, have no waste or excess fabric, I guess is the way, not waste, waste. So the front and the back are both 2 pieces. Oh, you know, those longer pieces are probably the binding, because this cardigan is a little different than even the wrap cardigan. The wrap cardigan, the binding comes all the way, well, I'm wearing a wrap shirt, all the way down, but it looks like on the website, I haven't really looked at the instructions yet, that this binding is only kind of here at the top, so that would make sense. So then I have my 2 sleeves. The all over rose stencil, this is the natural fabric. I believe this is the Moonlight paint. And you know, before I start making this, I'm going to do the 2 things that I always do before I start a DIY Alabama Chanin kit, and I will put a link down below to that video. Can you still see me? I hope so. Because here's the scrap bundle, and this is the thing I was most interested in. What is this going to look like? So it's not going to be cut in the same shapes. It is just, I don't think. No. So, yeah, you can even tell that it's a scrap cut because it's got a little wonky here at the bottom. So this is just probably a, what, 2 by 2 or 24 inch by 24 inch piece. This is a long skinny piece. Oh, I've got a bunch more pieces than I even imagined. When they said scrap, I was envisioning a bunch of little tiny scraps, but that's not the case at all. Yeah, this piece, you can tell it's a scrap based on its shape. Oh, look, now you can see me better. Say 5, another piece. So they're all really good sized. So I think I'm going to have plenty of scraps, maybe even scraps left over. Let's see, this was 6 different pieces, and there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of these. But again, I am only really going to have the backing layer under the shapes. There's a lot of places where, you know, there's not going to be any navy fabric at all. I am going to work this up just as it is on the website. Actually, I'm going to go ahead and put a picture of what inspired me. They just came out with this kit, but this top itself, Natalie Chanin first came out in 2002. And so I'm going to work up at exactly how that original top was in 2002. That's a reverse applique, the navy under the natural, and knots on the outside. Oh, I forgot what I was going to say. I really did forget. Okay, anyway, I'm going to go ahead and read to you from the website on this scrap project what they give you as tips for using the scraps. She says the grain lines do not have to run in the same direction for the backing layers as the top layers. Choose pieces of scrap fabric that will work with your design. Make sure the scrap piece is large enough to cover the back of the area to be appliqued. You may use a single piece to cover the back of a larger area like a rose blossom, or several smaller pieces as the backing layer of individual shapes, like petals or leaves. So here's like a rose blossom, and here's just some petals and leaves. The technique leaves a lot of room for creative design and color variation. Press fabric scraps if needed and pin securely in place behind the top layer, which I usually quilt clip together along on the edges when I've got a 2 layer, so I think I'll probably end up doing something a little different this time. After stitching around a shape and knotting off, trim away the backing fabric to leave a 1/4 inch border. we recommend trimming immediately after finishing each shape rather than waiting until all are complete. And that's a little different than what I usually do too. I usually kind of do a whole section and then go back and trim, or do a whole panel and then go back and trim. This is also going to be interesting too, because I sometimes jump shapes if they're real close together, and I don't think I'll be able to do that with this top because my knots are going to be on the outside. And so I'm going to want the more knots. I wonder how I'm going to do the stems. I'm going to have to look at what she has online to do these long skinny stems. I wonder what she does with them, if anything. But I'm really excited to try this zero waste project and this new technique. Graduation's in, like I said, in May, and it is the end of February almost, so I better get to stitching. Hopefully I'll have it done. If you're interested in the zero waste project, she's got 2 other kits online, also in this rose stencil. She's got a square top and a swing skirt and the wrapped, she calls it a wrap top on that, but it's wrap cardigan, I believe. And I think it's going to look great. I'm going to wear it over I have a tank dress that I made from the workshop back in 2016, excuse me. That was navy on navy, facets. I worked it up in the negative reverse applique, so it's got knots on the outside, so it's got a whole bunch of texture. It's actually the piece I probably wear the most. I'll go ahead and insert a picture of the dress and a picture of the wrap cardigan as it's made, and I'm hoping they're gonna look great together. Who knows, maybe I'll find a way to make an orange belt so I can truly make it a school color outfit. Go Who's. All right, thanks for joining me today and sticking around, and I will try to post more and share my progress with this, and to let you guys know how using the scraps is going. All right, thank you.